Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. Allincrypto here, and this is going to be a daily market update. If you are new around here, every single day at 1 p.m. UK time, we release a market update where we don't just cover the cryptocurrency market, but we cover the markets at large and try and work out where our small but very significant space is heading. And we are going to be talking about the traditional markets in regards to the big shorter Michael Burry, looking to do the same thing in regards to opening a colossal short position in relation to the NASDAQ and the S&P. We're going to be talking about that. Should you be worried? Michael Burry has successfully called the last 50 crashes that we've had in the last 20 years. And of course, that is a joke. There has only been really two major ones. And he's actually been very good on calling them. But he's a very pessimistic investor. He's been wrong a lot, but he has been extremely right a lot. So we'll be diving into that. Should you be worried? What does this mean? Is there any kind of reason for this these colossal shorts being opened on the equity market, which we know the cryptocurrency market is a part of? Crypto is becoming a recognized global asset class. We see the largest financial institutions in the world looking to do that. Yesterday we covered HBAR and their involvement with the FedNow service. You know, crypto blockchain is going to be the operating system of tomorrow. We know that, and we're all looking to position ourselves to benefit from it. So we'll be talking about that, talking about a variety of other things. We'll be bringing up Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad author, amongst other things. He also wrote a great book called Fake. He's also a doomsday sayer. He's been buying a lot of gold and silver and other such things for pretty much his entire career, calling for a colossal crash in the end to the dollar hegemony. And it still hasn't happened yet. So I do think eventually he'll be right. I think gold bugs are very wrong until eventually they become right. And gold and Bitcoin are friends. They're both trying to create alternative stores of value outside of the control of the governments around the world and the fiat systems. He's calling for 100k Bitcoin. We'll be looking into that, looking into a take on why Michael Burry's opened these positions, talking about a number of things like the first EU spot Bitcoin ETF, Grayscale's decision potentially coming this week, Coinbase's base, Trump owning 50k's worth of crypto, 500k, sorry, and of course Binance recently filed a court order. Start things off as we like to do always with the charts. It's just very boring, isn't it, guys? And you could just be allowing this MA to creep up before you use it as a springboard. This is all happening around that key level of 30k. You will take it eventually, and it will be with momentum. You'll end up in the 40s in no time at all. It could come on the back end of an ETF decision that likely is going to come at the start of September. Although we do have news that Grayscale's Bitcoin ETF decision could happen this week. A pundit says the pending Grayscale ruling could impact the race for the approved Bitcoin exchange traded fund. March the 1st, it talks about a number of things. Then it talks about how 151 days was given. And now, essentially, we are coming into the period where a decision must be given. Although we did see ARCs get delayed, I don't believe that you're going to see a Bitcoin ETF decision this week. I think it's going to come likely on the back end of this month, going into September. And I do believe that's going to propel Bitcoin to the upside. We have assessed, and this is why we've kind of expressed our distaste for the bears' opinions, because they're listening to narrative, not the charts. There is a fundamental difference between this trend and this trend, which on this channel we were very early on spotting and have been positioned accordingly since. So we're very optimistic about the price of Bitcoin and crypto at large. I think the stock market is still to see all-time highs. Of course, we've got structure for this. Some of our stocks are already made our inverse head and shoulders targets and, of course, sold off beautifully. And we've been very right about it. You know, crypto is essentially here ready for that big up leg. And actually, stocks are going higher, in my opinion. However, Michael Burry doesn't seem to think so, as he's placed a huge leveraged short position on the stock market with put options, the Big Shorts version 2.0. Now, this is Michael Burry's portfolio that he owns through Scion Asset Management. You can see these are the two recent and largest positions to the tune of 1.6 billion. Now, there's leverage involved in that, and they are the SPY puts and the NASDAQ puts, meaning puts, sells, calls, longs, basically, but in a options contract. And you can see he's opened this up to the value of 1.6 billion. Now, he's also added a number of stocks in terms of his holdings, okay? The one thing, and we actually reviewed this entire portfolio, which wasn't anywhere near the size that it was up until recently. The only things he's really done is dump the likes of Alibaba, Zoom, and a lot of banking stocks. Okay? He's also added other stocks to his portfolio. He's added quite a bit of energy, actually, which is interesting. He's dumped banking. There could be a bit of a yield play going on here. Maybe he's suspecting the yields are going higher, which, of course, is going to mean higher interest rates, stronger dollar, and be a downdraft for the equity market. He's also speculated on the idea of a pullback, which we've also said is quite likely. But is he calling for the next... Let's go to 2008. 2008. I do not believe he is. I think there's a fundamental difference between this and this. Context, of course, is one. I think you are essentially here in regards to where the stock market is, and it's got this to come before we do enter some sort of a 2008 period. You know, stock market's going to S&P 5,000+, in my opinion. NASDAQ, I think we've got targets well into the kind of 15,000s. Did our NASDAQ target actually get met? Interesting. No, I don't think it did. So Michael Burry going short is largely against what we're saying. Of course, if the stock market's going to do that, what's crypto going to do? It's very likely it's going to follow as it's correlated. However, there may be an answer to why this has happened. This is reporting national derivatives exposure. I can buy 10K's worth of 390 puts. So let's pull up the SPY. Let's go into this a little bit, actually. So calling for the SPY to go to 390, which is all the way down here, is the puts on that are expiring this Friday. So the likelihood of the stock market doing this by Friday, unless he knows something, is pretty much null and void. So these puts will expire essentially worthless. Each costing $0.02 for £200, and it gives me a $448 million position of notional exposure. So is he doing this, and is he picking up cheap puts that are expiring soon? I don't know how we can find the expiry dates of the puts. And is that boosting them up? So if he's doing that for that price, you know, there could be something going on here. He could be taking a wild bet, basically, that he might be able to sell the puts closer to make some money, and there's a kind of short-term trade there, and that he's not betting necessarily on a long-term downside, just a short-term swing, because it seems kind of out of the ordinary that his portfolio has usually been to the tune of 180 million, and now he's got 1.6 billion on the table all of a sudden. And I think Dillian Leclerc is actually highlighting what may be going on here. So I imagine $100 million derivatives book in my spare time. So what? You guys really think that Burry purchased puts premiums with a 95% of his portfolio? Doubt it, yeah. I think he's playing a short-term trade here. He's expecting a pullback, and he's got short exposure to that in the name of puts that he's probably picked up very cheap. So if puts and options basically go down the further away from where you've expected them to go as the time period ticks on, whether that's quarterly, monthly, yearly, 5-yearly, whatever it may be. Options are quite hard to work out, but once you do, they can be a great way to leverage up and utilize and play the market. So is Michael Burry expecting 2008 to commence again? I don't believe so. I think there's something more internally going on here, and he's trying to gain short exposure for the pullback that, by the way, on this channel we highlighted very simply just based on where we were across the board, you know, at key levels of resistance. You know, you don't short support, you don't typically long resistance, and actually you're seeing this play out. We still think Coinbase, by the way, is a great buy here. But we'll see if we're right on that, just like we thought it was a great buy down here. So the dollar is continuing to be strong. The dollar's interesting because it's getting to this point now where if it breaks this level, you're likely going to be going higher and you're forming some sort of a stage one base here and looking for upside. Again, you've got interest rates, you've got the yields, you've got inflation. There's lots of things going on in the macro that we do cover, but I want to kind of keep it to the sort of news flow. So again, just to wrap the Michael Burry situation up, I don't think he's necessarily put a 1.6 billion short on. I think he's bought options that have given him $1.6 billion worth of short exposure, expecting a further pullback. And I think that's what's gone on here. But we'll see. I could be wrong. I don't, as far as I'm aware, there's been no evidence to suggest that he thinks 2008 is commencing again, other than he's looking to gain short exposure. Moving on to a bit of Robert Kiyosaki news. You've got Robert Kiyosaki, Bitcoin to 100K, saying for years, gold and silver's God's money, Bitcoin's people's money. Bad news if stocks and bond market crash. Gold and silver skyrocket. Well, we've actually typically not seen that be the case. Worst news if the world economy crashes, because 1 million gold and 750,000 silver to 75k silver to 60k silver. Savers of fake US are effed. Debt too high. Mom and pop kids in trouble. Hope I'm wrong. Please take care. Robert Kiyosaki has been saying this for as long as I've been involved in the markets, and probably his entire career, which is longer than I've been alive. Eventually, he'll be right, I do think. I'm not sure about, I think he's largely underestimating Bitcoin going to 100,000 if gold going to 1 million, and silver's going to go to 75,000. But I do like the thinking behind why Robert Kiyosaki thinks this. I just think timing's everything in the markets, and it's like being bearish or bullish for long enough. Eventually, he'll be right. We're not interested in that. We're more interested in timing the markets and profiting from them. You have the first Bitcoin spot ETF in the EU on the Euronext Amsterdam exchange. You will get one in America eventually, and it might be the very thing that we need to take this market to the upside. We are positioned in a number of altcoins from a leverage point of view. We're also positioned in the cryptocurrency market from a spot point of view and have maintained a long position since the start of the year. So we do expect more upside. Again, we covered the Grayscale news. People are underestimating Base, and actually there's going to be a major opportunity with Base in regards to the products that they look to list and use and offer to the public. Coinbase is going to be the dominant crypto exchange, backed by BlackRock and many others. Their Base cryptocurrency is going to be utilized, and the exchange and the products that are on it are going to do well as a result of it. We had news that Donald Trump holds 50K worth of crypto. Maybe, we'll see. We do know that he launched an NFT series last year, and it could be a little bit of leftover from that. And then, of course, moving on, we've got the Binance news where they're seeking an order against the SEC, basically saying that the restraints that they're putting on them are too aggressive. And they're seeking a protective order against the SEC, claiming that they are conducting a fishing expedition. We've stated this for a long time. This is a power grab. The SEC are seeing what they can get. Unfortunately, it's at the cost of good companies like Binance and many others. And they've done a very good job at not penalizing the bad actors, but penalizing the good ones. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. We remain long and strong. Lots of interesting things going on. Let me know what you think about Michael Burry's positions and everything in between that we've spoken about on this video. See you in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Catch you in the next.